It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
The median apartment price has gone up 5,000 and the house median price has gone up 10,000. So I think with the second airport coming to the west, which is in Badgerys Creek, about 20 kilometres from Penrith, that'll boost activity and the need for housing. I think in 10 years' time, the house price will double, and in 15 years' time, the unit price will double pretty much no matter where you buy in the Penrith area, because it's affordable compared to the rest of Sydney.
That is David Lipman in Sydney this morning on the Real Estate Breakfast, as we continue talking about your local property market. And if you are a new listener, let us know where in the world you are listening to us from. Our email address, as always, is myrealestatepodcast@gmail.com. And another week has almost come to a close, up to a Friday, December the 5th. Looking forward to the weekend, are you? Having a look at some more of those properties. And of course, another big auction day coming up tomorrow. And Sydney's most affordable regions have quietly become the city's strongest performers, posting double-digit growth over the past year. New PropTrack data shows the Outer West and Blue Mountains leading the charge with more than 11% annual growth, closely followed by the Southwest at nearly 11%. Areas like Campbelltown, Camden, Canterbury, Bankstown, Blacktown and Sutherland also surged well above the city's average. Meanwhile, higher prices pocketed on the North Shore and eastern suburbs saw more modest gains, creating this two-speed Sydney market. And we'll go to Sydney in just a moment to catch up with David Lipman there in Penrith. Now, buying a house in Sydney with a budget of $950,000 can feel nearly impossible, yet several outer ring suburbs still offer a foothold for determined buyers. Now, some new domain data reveals 31 locations with median house prices under $950,000, all more than 28 Ks from the CBD. While standalone homes are becoming harder to secure, options still remain, especially for townhouses, villas and duplexes. So let's go to you, David, there in Penrith. Good morning and welcome onto the Real Estate Breakfast. Let's start off by looking at the median house price in Penrith this morning.
Good morning, Craig. Thanks for having me. Well, unfortunately, we're not at $950. Last week, we were at $980,000 for a median house price in Penrith, and just a week later, we're now $10,000 more at $990,000, I'm sorry to say to your listeners.
Well, that is a very telling story of just how quickly the real estate market can change from week to week. You know, it used to be quarterly to quarterly changes or every second month. But now, as you have just highlighted, it's week to week, which of course is the breeding ground for FOMO. Let's not forget about that. And we're going to see a lot more of that next year. But you have just highlighted the very nature of price movement.
Certainly, and the time that I was checking these figures last week, when the median price in Penrith was $980,000, that was for a house. That was the same median price for a unit in the city. And the unit price in Penrith, the median price was $570,000, and that's gone up $5,000 in a week to $575,000.
Well, since the 5% guarantee scheme came into effect on the 1st of October, we've been talking about the rise in the unit market, not just since the 1st of October. Really, we've been talking about this unit market all year, but now the blowtorch has been applied even more by these first home buyers everywhere right around the country, including Penrith. This is obvious to see.
And yes, we have seen increased buyer numbers fitting into the 5% home loan deposit scheme. With a median apartment price of $575,000 now, it's certainly a strong first home buyer market. With Sydney, even a house median price of $1.75 million, a lot of buyers will talk about it's not fair, they can't afford to buy, but it's where they want to live, whereas they can afford to buy out here in Penrith and maybe buy it as an investment property and get your foot in the market, grow with the market, earn some income, and then get some equity and then sell that or buy another, and then eventually on the second or third property transaction, they can afford to buy a property where they want to live in Sydney.
Yes, that's a good point. Transacting 2 to 3 times and building up your property equity and then moving into that Sydney home that somebody wants to live in. Remember, it's all about having patience. It's a patience game when it comes to the Sydney property market, because the property-driven forces, let's face it, they are all against you if you are in this market and buying for the first time. Now, another location in this Domain report highlights Macquarie Fields, which does meet this affordability threshold, but standalone houses under $1 million are increasingly scarce. Buyers with a $950,000 budget are more likely to secure a well-kept townhouse, a villa or a duplex rather than a traditional family home. Older homes do appear at lower prices, but they typically require significant renovation. And we should look at the mum and dad investors helping the kids out in your market in Penrith. How much movement in that area are you seeing at the moment?
Well, it's a good time to ask that question, Craig, because we've got that experience right now where we have a one-bedroom apartment that's listed for $590,000, but then the contract hasn't been signed yet and that buyer's not ready. Whereas we have another buyer that's got the bank of mum and dad where she's come in with an offer of $540,000. We do deal with a lot of first-home buyers that haven't got their loan pre-approval yet. So, we're not able to entertain that offer at the moment. But if they end up having loan pre-approval that they've been told by their mortgage broker of $500,000, then the bank of mum and dad would need to come in with an extra $70,000 to help that buyer secure that property. Based on this price point out here in Penrith, the kids are living with mum and dad and they're saving. So they're not necessarily getting charged board, but what we'd be using for board is going into savings. And so the bank of mum and dad is twofold. Number one, it's making the child or I guess you call it the son or the daughter, have forced savings and they're actually ready to buy a property at a young age, in their low 20s. And then alternatively, there's the other bank of mum and dad, which is literally putting cash in as a gift to help the son or the daughter, get into the property market.
All right, we'll come back in just a moment. That is David in Penrith, and we'll continue the conversation after this.
Every morning from 6 a.m. across Australia, we deliver you the latest property news, commentary and predictions from Perth to Cairns and from Melbourne to Brisbane, 7 days a week.
Right now, let's catch up with Bianca Field from the Board Agency. This is a fantastic story you were telling me off air. You had a client wanting to consult with a clairvoyant before they made their decision. Tell us about that one.
We had a very, very specific brief for a warehouse property. I had sourced what I had felt had ticked more boxes than the brief that he had initially given me. After a 4-month search, which, by the way, is quite long for me. Most properties I acquire within 6 weeks for a client, but this one took me 4 months. I'd found the perfect home in Surrey Hills. We had done 3 inspections, due diligence had ticked off. It was well within the client's budget. But the last call that needed to be made was to the client's clairvoyant to determine whether this was the right decision. Turns out that this was going to be the wrong decision, and the energy that this house had wasn't going to be fulfilling for my client's brief.
I can only imagine how I would react, having to, okay, let's dial the clairvoyant. The clairvoyant tells me this information. I'm the buyer's agent. I'm the expert. I'm the one that knows this market, but apparently the clairvoyant knows more than I do. What happened next, Bianca, in this story of yours?
Without boring you with the frustration that I had, we actually ended up buying a more expensive property that was inferior to this home. And that was purely based on the fact that the energy that this property had and the feng shui of the home was going to put a dampener on this prospective purchaser's life. Something that I really can't argue against with facts. I can't show comparable data. I can't show a graph or any indication of where a market might be moving, any past sales. There is absolutely no way around a personal decision that is determined by somebody's clairvoyant.
Listen to expert perspectives with exclusive real estate conversations. and supercharge your knowledge base with us. It's the Real Estate Podcast.
And it's a Real Estate Friday. We are talking to David Lipman there in Penrith. And Campbelltown is another area that still presents solid buying power for those seeking land. Homes under $950,000. Often you can find them between 500 and 700 square metres. And another area that they point to is Richmond. Good morning if you're in Richmond this morning. That offers some of the strongest chances of securing a house under $950,000. Properties in this range typically include three-bedroom homes dating from the 1950s through to the 1980s. Competition, though, this is what David is talking about in Penrith. It has just intensified dramatically as the first home buyers, they start to flood the market. So just over the last 6 months and with the run-up to Christmas, any observations in Penrith sort of outside the box, or is it just sort of expected business as usual, what you're seeing and the progression with the rise on properties in your market?
Craig, over the last 6 months, there have been a few more DAs that have been approved, which has been good news. In Penrith, we've got Penrith train station, which is a major station that has the express train that you can be from Penrith and then Central in 4 stops and 48 minutes. So there's been some DAs that have been approved next to the train station, which is called a transport-oriented development, which is all about boosting high-density living next to the train station. With that increased supply, it's providing an opportunity for buyers that are first-home buyers or investors to get in the market. The price rises, as we've spoken about, just in a week. The median apartment price has gone up $5,000 and the house median price has gone up $10,000. So I think with the second airport coming to the west, which is in Badgerys Creek, about 20 kilometres from Penrith, that'll boost activity and the need for housing. I think in 10 years' time, the house price will double, and in 15 years' time, the unit price will double pretty much no matter where you buy in the Penrith area, because it's affordable compared to the rest of Sydney.
Yeah, and I'll make a prediction here for you. You're going to join the $1 Million Club by the end of January 2026. That's my prediction for you.
That's a nice Christmas present, Craig. Thank you.
Well, some people will say a nice Christmas present, but the poor old first home buyers will be saying, no, we don't like to hear that at all. And I can kind of sympathise where they're coming from. Hey, great to catch up and find out what is happening in the Penrith real estate market. Enjoy your run up to Christmas, David, and thanks so much for coming on to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning.
Really appreciate the opportunity, Craig. Thank you, and Merry Christmas to you.
Every morning from 6 a.m, we bring you the latest real estate news with diverse perspectives from leading industry experts. We deliver the most property podcasts across Australia every week.
And I think that when people read it, will find it not only full of information, but it's a fun read, Nicola. And whoever said that about a real estate market report?
It's so lovely to hear. And I have to say, it is my favourite report. And it's a really hard report to actually author as well, because you're capturing an awful lot that has happened in the 12-month period.
Certainly is. And you sort of set it up at the start by saying that the year finally brought a sense of relief. By the end of this year, you're saying that 9% growth for houses nationally and 7% for units.
Which is a $99,000 increase in house price across the combined capitals. What we have seen is house prices have risen faster than what borrowing capacity is improved by.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.